Fortunately, some are born with spiritual immune systems that sooner or later give rejection to the illusory worldview grafted upon them from birth through social conditioning. They begin sensing that something is amiss and start looking for answers. Inner knowledge and anomalous outer experiences show them a side of reality others are oblivious to, and so begins their journey of awakening. Each step of the journey is made by following the heart instead of following the crowd, and by choosing knowledge over the veils of ignorance, and thus begins their journey of illuminating the darkness.
All information presented in this podcast is solely for entertainment purposes and not the opinions of the producers. No copyright infringement is intended. Ever since I was a kid, I've always been fascinated with the Great Pyramids of Egypt, and it was as I got older and got into more things that I learned there are pyramids all over the globe. I mean, from every continent, from North America to Australia, there is a pyramid somewhere. So, on today's episode, we're going to take a look at why they're there, how they got there, and what they may have been used for. I'd like to start off with some kind of overview information, and then as we get deeper in to the episode, these things will come back up and we'll go back over them again as to how they fit in the whole episode. So hang on tight, it's going to be one hell of a ride. The ancient pyramids of Giza are considered to be energy machines. They were huge structures that could use the properties of the earth to create a large amount of energy. No ancient text, drawing, or hieroglyphic mention in the construction of the first pyramid, nor are there any written records explaining how the Pyramid of Giza was built. This absence of history is one of the greatest mysteries related to the ancient Egyptian pyramids. But there are texts from ancient Greek libraries that claim the pyramids were built with huge advanced machines of an unknown origin. There's not a single marking or hieroglyphic anywhere in the entire pyramid, not even outside. This is radically different than almost every other structure in Egypt, and yet this is their crowning achievement. A building without writing seems more like it was built for a function and not for display. Is it just an eerie coincidence that the speed of light equals the coordinates of the Great Pyramid? The speed of light in a vacuum is 299, 792, and 458 milliseconds, and the geographic coordinates for the Great Pyramid of Giza is 29.9792,458 degrees north. A papyrus containing notes of Pharaoh Thutmose III detailed a UFO sighting around 1480 BC. A circle of fire was seen in the sky, and the scribes reported their findings to the pharaoh. Days following, more UFOs showed up. The pharaoh decided to burn incense and have his scribes mark the day as important. This document is commonly known as the Thule Papyrus, and we'll get more into it later. But one thing to keep in mind about the ancients, they did not really create any fictional texts. It was normally, if they saw it, they documented it. So it could have been anything. If they saw what they thought to believe a fire in the sky, which may have been lightning, they would have documented it as a fire in the sky. So how they worded things can be kind of confusing. So it's possible that they saw a meteorite entering the atmosphere and burning up, or something to that effect. But keep in mind, there wouldn't have been any type of space debris like we have now falling into the atmosphere and burning up. So if it wasn't a meteorite that hit or anything larger, then it could quite possibly have been an actual unidentified flying object. The pyramids in Egypt were originally white and smooth. They were covered in a polished limestone, resembling brilliant light forms dropped from the desert skies. So if they were polished and reflecting light, they could have been used as some type of beacon for travelers across the desert to see when the sun hit, or for maybe something that is above looking for where it needs to go. Who knows? The Great Pyramid of Giza is regarded by many as one of the best examples of an ancient energy machine, and we'll get more into that later on in the episode. On one of the Great Pyramids, the centers of the four sides are indented with an extraordinary degree of precision, forming the only 8-sided pyramid. This effect is not visible from the ground or a distance, but only from the sky, and only under proper lighting conditions. This phenomenon is only detectable from the sky at dawn and sunset on the spring and autumn equinoxes, when the sun casts a shadow on the pyramid. This was discovered during World War II when a plane flew over and they took different photographs of the pyramid. The pyramids of Giza are considered to be ancient energy machines. They were huge structures that could use the properties of the earth to create a large amount of energy. It was believed that it was this energy that was used by other cultures, such as the Maya. The Bin Bin Pyramid has puzzled scientists for years, and they've been unable to solve its mystery. The pyramid is made of a black stone, but it's not any ordinary stone because all of its components are not found on Earth. Black ironstone is only found in space meteorites, and here the other puzzle appears because it's very hard ironstone, so it's difficult to mold and dig this material up, but it's not difficult to break the stone. So, how was it cut with so much accuracy in angles and deviations? How was it polished with such unique precision? As were these very delicate inscriptions on the sides of the pyramid, scientists found it impossible for any tool, old or new, to carve these inscriptions except with laser cutting technology. Moreover, due to its unique composition, the black meteorite stone has a positive electromagnetic energy transferring in its surroundings that makes everyone who approaches it feel psychologically comfortable, and it affects human energies. It's alleged that the Bin Bin Pyramid was the capstone of an obelisk. Now, the obelisks fit into things later on about the pyramids, but we're not going to go into those today. The obelisks will get their own separate episode at a later time. Megaliths on Earth seem to be related to each other, built along a grid composed of two pentagrams within the circle of the equator. All monuments fall into place along this grid as if one pentagram is anchored at Giza and one at the prime meridian, 0 longitude. Too many major architectural structures exist along this dual pentagram design for it to be mere coincidence. This design predicts where the megalith structure is and will be found as well. These are also what are considered to be ley lines, and we will cover ley lines in a different episode later on. When the pyramids were built, mammoths were still roaming the earth, and that was 4,000 years ago. The orientation of the Great Pyramid is within 3/4 of an inch of true north. A modern magnetic compass is usually far less accurate. The Bin Bin stone was a sacred stone in the Temple of Ra at Heliopolis. It was the location on which the first rays of the sun fell and was thought to have been the prototype for later obelisks and capstones, or the uppermost piece of the Great Pyramids, were based on its design. At over 5,000 years old, it is one of the oldest man-made iron objects in history. They are also known as the Pyramidon. Many people believe that the builders of the pyramids were giants by the size of 5 to 6 meters tall, so figure 7 to 12 feet. Those giants were able to lift 4 to 5 ton blocks as depicted on the Egyptian walls. Contrary to popular belief, Egypt is not the only place that has pyramid structures. There is, and I'm going to destroy these names, I already know it. Ziggurat of Tepisak, Kashan, Iran, built in estimated 3000 BCE. Pyramid of Djoser, Memphis, Egypt, estimated to be built around 2610 BCE. Pyramid of Khufu, and that is the Great Pyramid, 2560 BCE. Zerrat of Ur in the city of Ur, Iraq, 2100 BCE. Choga Zambal, Khuzestan, Iran, 1250 BC. Tomb of King Kashta, and that's in Sudan, 500 BCE. Jebel Barkal Pyramid, and that's in Sudan, 300 BCE. Qinshi Mausoleum, and that's in the Shen province in China in 210 BCE. Pyramid of Cetus, Rome, Italy, 12 BCE. Tomb of the General, and that's in the city of Jian, China. Pyramid of the Sun, Teotihuacan, Mexico. The Borobudur Temple, Java, Indonesia. Prang Temple in Cambodia. El Castello, and that's in Chichen Itza, Mexico. The Shai Tombs, and that's in Ningxia Hui, China. And the Morongo Yuta Pyramid, and that is in Polynesia. So pyramids are just not limited to Egypt, but what would possess these ancient races to build these? Because every one of these pyramids, the youngest one of the group is the pyramid in Polynesia, which was built in 1450. So what would possess indigenous people, our ancestors, the ancients, whatever you want to call them, what would possess them to build these structures? What would motivate them? Why would they build them? And where would they get the knowledge to build these pyramids? There are stories that there is allegedly a black pyramid, or that there was. It has just never been found. And it's been suggested that this was the fourth pyramid structure on the Giza Plateau. But if this is true, why can't we see it? And also, why was it black is the question. The existence of this fourth pyramid was documented by Danish explorer Frederick Louis Norden, 1708 to 1742, who participated in an expedition to Egypt organized by Frenchman Pierre-Joseph Leroux d'Ensval and demanded by the Danish king Christian VI. Now, Norden was not anywhere an amateur explorer. He was an experienced naval captain, cartographer, and archaeological explorer who, before his visit to Egypt in 1737, had traveled to countries like the Netherlands, France, Italy, and Malta to study fortifications. It's said when Captain Norden reached Egypt, he documented and drew everything he saw and experienced, including pharaonic monuments and architectures, installations, and maps. He made more than 200 drawings, and that can be found in his publication, Voyage to Egypt et de Nubri. And I've never tried to track this book down. I'm assuming it's out there in an updated version, probably in English. Some of his drawings puzzled modern researchers. Why had Captain Norden made a drawing of a fourth pyramid at Giza? His writings stated there are 4 of them. They deserve the attention of the curious, even though they may be 7 or 8 in the neighborhood. They are nothing in comparison with the first. The 2 pyramids to the north are the biggest and have 500 feet perpendicular. The other 2 are much smaller, but have some peculiarities that cause it to be examined and admired. Captain Norden said the ancient structure's top was extremely, when describing the 4th pyramid, it seemed to be a stone blacker than common granite. As for the 4th pyramid, it was just under 100 feet from the 3rd. It has no carvings, it is closed, and it resembles the others, but without any temple like the first one. However, it has a characteristic worth mentioning, which is that the top is crowned by a single large stone, which seems to have served as a pedestal, Captain Norden explained. Now we know there's no fourth pyramid at Giza. Some satellite images, it's suggested they reveal the existence of several giant Egyptian pyramids hidden beneath the sand, but this could not have been what the captain was observing during his journey. So, how could he have documented a fourth pyramid when we know there's only three of them? Most modern scholars suggest that Captain Norden made a mistake and wrongfully identified one of Menkauri's satellite pyramids as a fourth Great Pyramid. If this is true, it still doesn't explain why Captain Norden stated the fourth pyramid was black. It was common knowledge that Menkauri's pyramids were not made of black stones. This fact leaves us with few options. One possibility is that there has been an error in the translation somewhere. Captain Norden's text was originally written in French before being translated to English. Maybe his intention was never to say the fourth pyramid was black, but it was simply darker than the others. Another possibility is that Captain Norden did in fact see a black pyramid that no longer exists. Perhaps the ancient structure became a victim of vandalism or was deliberately used as a quarry. A pyramid cannot vanish into thin air, but there's no reason to doubt Captain Norden's words either. It seems obvious Captain Norden did see something. He documented his experience, and we simply cannot solve this ancient Egyptian mystery. So, where would this pyramid be? You can pull up Google Earth, you can look at the pyramids. There's three of them. 1, 2, 3. That's it. There's not a fourth one. But anything is possible. Going a little further on that fourth pyramid, an international team of archaeologists discovered that the ruins that can be seen today in Abu Rawash, a few kilometers from Cairo, correspond to the so-called Lost Pyramid, whose megalithic stones have uncovered many of the legends that have surrounded the reign of Cheops. This Lost Pyramid was the highest of all the Giza complex, which is Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure, and its stone was of a much better quality as well. For years it was thought that these remains were just those of unfinished construction. The remains of this once great pyramid are located on a hilltop in Abu Rawash, a militarized and restricted area located around the parched desert that in the background displays an impressive black cloud of the polluted air of Cairo. A view that was there very different 1,000 years ago when Jinfri's pyramid stood tall against the desert, but the exact shape and purpose of the structure remains still a mystery. The missing top of the Great Pyramid was an electromagnetic sphere. Interesting. While many people agree that the Great Pyramid of Giza was not built to serve as a tomb, many have speculated what the ancient monument was used for. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? According to a study from architect Miguel Perez Sanchez, a series of impossible figures and numbers with pi, e, and continuous references to relationships with the star Sirius give a new perspective on the great encyclopedia of knowledge that is the Great Pyramid of Egypt. A Spanish researcher explains that the ancient Egyptians had placed a mysterious sphere on top of the Great Pyramid of Giza, which symbolized the Eye of Horus. The mysterious sphere had a diameter of 2,718 royal cubits, or 2.7 meters, which is an accurate measurement of the number E. The sphere located on the pyramid was placed as a worship to the sun and Sirius, the brightest star in the sky, which was associated with Isis. Now, a moment ago, we covered how pyramid building is a global phenomenon. If you look at the ancient civilizations that built pyramids thousands of years ago, you'll notice that all of them possess this incredible mathematical, astronomical, and geophysical knowledge. Here's an example. There are numerous mathematical formulas embedded into the construction of the Great Pyramid of Giza. The relationship between pi and phi is expressed in the fundamental proportions of the Great Pyramid. An even more interesting fact is that twice the perimeter of the bottom of the granite coffer times 10 to the 8th power is the sun's mean radius. which is 270.45378.502 pyramid inches, times 10 to the 8th is 427,316 miles. The height of the pyramid times 10 to the 9th is average distance to the sun. But these traits are not only present in the Great Pyramid of Giza. In fact, similar mathematical properties can in fact be found in the pyramids of the Americas. Interestingly, pyramids in Egypt, Sudan, Mexico, South America, Asia, and even Indonesia seem to share incredible similarities that mainstream scholars are unable to explain. The Great Pyramid of Khufu at Giza and the Sun Pyramid at Teotihuacan apparently have the same almost 750 feet square base. So why'd the ancients build them? Okay, that is our big question here. Why were these built? Here's one for you. The pyramids were not tombs. Pyramids were not used by the ancient Egyptians or any other ancient pyramid building civilization as tombs. This fact is since no mummies have ever been found in the Great Pyramid of Giza, nor in the countless pyramids spread across the Americas. Mainstream scholars, however, believe that the absence of mummies can be explained by grave robbers who are believed to have kidnapped the mummies from the pyramids. But if the mummies are missing, why aren't there any other indicators of the pyramids being used as tombs? And we'll get into that here a little later as to how you can tell the pyramids are not used as tombs. Astronomical perfection. Pyramids aligned with the stars. Now, according to many researchers, it's believed that the three pyramids of the Giza Plateau mimic the constellation of Orion, or at least it used to. The pyramid positions on the ground are a reflection of the position of the stars in the constellation Orion circa 10,400 BC. 5 of the 7 brightest stars have pyramid equivalents. The 3 great pyramids of Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure for the belt of Orion. The pyramid of Nebka at Abu Rawash corresponds to the star Saiph. The pyramid at Zawet Aran corresponds with the star of Bellatrix. Only 2 missing star positions are Betelgeuse and Rigel. However, the same astronomical phenomenon is present halfway around the world at Teotihuacan. Now, interestingly, many people are also unaware of the fact that the descending passage in the Great Pyramid is pointed to the pole star Alpha Draconis, circa 2170 to 2144 BCE. This was the North Star at that point in time. No other star has aligned with the passage since then. So, why is the Great Pyramid of Giza the most perfectly aligned structure on the planet? The Great Pyramid is the most accurately aligned structure in existence and faces true north with only 3/60ths of a degree of error. The position of the North Pole moves over time, and the pyramid was exactly aligned at one time. Also, the Great Pyramid is located at the center of the landmass of Earth. The east-west parallels that cross most of the land and the north-south meridian that crosses most of the land intersects in 2 places on Earth. One is in the ocean and the other is at the Great Pyramid. How in the hell did that happen? We are talking about a culture that at the time had not discovered latitude and longitude, any of that. They didn't know there was a North Pole. They didn't know there was a magnetic pole. So somebody please tell me how in the hell an ancient civilization was able to accomplish this. I'm not saying it was aliens, but I'm starting to think it was fucking aliens. Mica at Teotihuacan. In 1906, a surprising discovery was made in Teotihuacan as researchers discovered a thick layer of mica on top of the Pyramid of the Sun. The mica group of sheet silicate minerals includes several closely related minerals to having near-perfect basal cleavage. I don't even know what the fuck that is. Sheet mica is used in electrical components, electronics, is in glass and atomic force microscopy. Specialized applications for sheet mica are found in aerospace components and air-to-ground and sea-launched missile systems, later devices, medical electronics, and radar systems. Mica is mechanically stable, and the micrometer-thin sheets, which are relatively transparent to radiation, such as alpha particles, while being impervious to most gases. So what is it doing in Teotihuacan? The mica used at Teotihuacan originated thousands of kilometers away in Brazil. How in the fuck did they get it there? How did they even know about it? Now, maybe it was shiny, maybe it looked pretty, maybe it made the pyramids look nice, but why? One of the oldest pyramids on Earth, Gunung Padang. Gunung Padang is believed to be one of the oldest man-made pyramid structures on the surface of the planet. Even though critics heavily dispute that, according to researchers and geoelectric, georadar, and geomagnetic surveys, a large chamber is buried at least 15 meters up from the surface. Carbon dating from a Miami lab shows that the structure could date back to 14,000 BC or beyond. The significance of this discovery cannot be overstated because it crosses the Ice Age event horizon. According to statements from geologist Dr. Danny Hillman, the site could hide the remains of a lost temple that could date back to at least 20,000 years. Hillman believes that the site is one of the great cultural and historical importance since it contains the remains of a huge pyramid that was built some 20,000 years ago by a lost civilization, adding that it may have been built for worship or as a great astronomical instrument. Some of these pyramids, especially the ones in China, are marked as forbidden. They are believed to be tombs of the past ancient emperors of China, and therefore you can't go there. They can't do anything with them. The Chinese government has gone to great lengths to make sure they stay buried and protected. Some people say the Chinese government is hiding it to hide the existence of aliens. If they are, more power to them, because we as a society are not prepared for aliens. Because I'm telling you right now, they would come to Earth and say, take us to your leader, and there would be a fight, and they'd just raise the whole damn planet, and we'd be done. The Great Pyramid of Giza. Incredible thermal anomalies baffle researchers. A new research project called Scan Pyramids has registered incredible thermal anomalies present in the Great Pyramid of Giza, using a mixture of innovative and new technologies such as infrared thermography, muon radiography, and 3D reconstruction in order to identify the presence of unknown internal structures in the pyramids. The use of infrared thermography has allowed researchers to identify several anomalous spots in the Great Pyramid where temperature spikes were registered. Upon infrared analysis, there is a clear difference of temperature, a cold and a hot zone, which is not found on the other sides of the pyramid. Wonder what that's all about there, kids. So, pyramids exist in Egypt, Sudan, Peru, Mexico, Iraq, Guatemala, Rome, China, Spain, and Bolivia. All of these pyramids resemble each other. They have a similar design and a similar geometry. Mexico has more of a circular and step pyramid. India and Central America built their pyramids tall. There are 250 pyramids in China alone. Egypt boasts 155 pyramids. There are over 10,000 pyramids in Central America, 300 pyramids in Peru. Pyramid builders, as we have seen, had a solid knowledge of math and astrology. And because there are so many similarities between them, it is alleged that at some point the ancient Peruvians and the ancient Egyptians had contact, which means they were traveling across oceans. Now, according to Egyptian mythology, the god Thoth designed the pyramid complex at Giza. Now, for a little vital statistic, there are 2.5 million blocks of granite used in the pyramid. It is 146 meters tall. The blocks weigh between 12 and 70 tons. It was 500 miles from the quarry to the pyramid complex. Now, historians claim it took 20 years to build the pyramids. In order for that to be possible, a block would have had to have been quarried, moved to the pyramid complex, and fitted every 2.5 minutes. Now, that is impossible even with modern technology. Now, they say the height of the Great Pyramid multiplied by 1 billion equals the distance from the Earth to the Sun. That's incorrect. It is 94.355 million miles from the Earth to the Sun. They say the circumference of the pyramid base is the circumference of the Earth to the equator. That's wrong too. Circumference of the Earth at the equator is 24,850 miles. Now, we said the pyramids were supposed to be the tombs for kings. However, nobody's were ever found, and while grave robbers are an explanation, some pyramids were found with sealed sarcophagus inside the tomb, but no bodies were found inside. Did they get up and fucking walk away? That's my question, because if they did, I am for damn sure not going to Egypt. Is there a connection between the pyramid Khufu at Giza and the other pyramids around the world? That's a good question, because nobody has the answer. Several ancient cultures have stories, myths, and legends that the gods descended and gave instructions to build the pyramids. Aha! So now you have your common extraterrestrial connection based in the facts that the builders were aware of the solar cycle. Small shafts were aligned with Orion and Sirius. The shafts were allegedly built to allow the king's soul to return to the stars. The pyramids were built to reflect the constellations. Now, are these pyramids markers for UFOs? I think about it. Some people, like myself, drive by landmarks. Don't go down here and tell me to go 5 miles and turn left. No. Tell me, go to the McDonald's, turn left. Go to the Chick-fil-A, turn back right. Go until you see the Kroger, turn right again. That's, so if that's how aliens navigate, then maybe that's the purpose. But these pyramids, if you look at them from, I'm going to say Google Earth because that's what I use. If you look at them from Google Earth, they're lined out in a pattern. And what is the purpose of this pattern? I want to take a look at the Borobudur Temple, Central Java Island, Indonesia. This is the world's largest Buddhist temple, and they say it resembles a mandala from the air. So, me being the curious person that I am, I went to Google Earth and I looked it up, and it does. It looks like one of those intricate mandalas that you see in the books about the Buddhist religion. It's really incredible to see. The stupas, or the bells on top of the temple, are considered to be places of transformation or cosmic stairways to commune with the gods. And now if we go to the Shaanxi province in China, they have a giant giant pyramid and 37 more pyramids in China. Some say they're burial mounds. Others say that the pyramids are hidden by the Chinese government. These pyramids are considered sacred sites and burial sites of the ancient emperors of China. These pyramids are all located within the Forbidden City, so scientists and archaeologists cannot get in there. Now, Bosnia, and I find this to be a really interesting pyramid. It's triangular shaped hills in Bosnia, which are possibly pyramids, and it's called this Pyramid of the Sun, and it's taller than the Great Pyramid, and they also have the Pyramid of the Moon. Now, some archaeologists have found evidence of cut stone, and you can't carbon date a stone, you carbon date the organic material around it. And they're saying this pyramid dates back 12,350 years, roughly 12th century BC. Mainstream science, again, claims it's just a geological formation, but there's a paved entry to it, and there are tunnels and chambers under it that have been explored. They had some evidence of artificial or man-made concrete, and this was tested by 3 labs. So it begs the question, are the China and Bosnian pyramids man-made, or are they naturally occurring? Did these just happen as the earth formed, or were these built and later forgotten, is the big question. There is a man-made pyramid in Russia. This pyramid is 25 miles northwest of Moscow, and it's 144 feet tall and 55 tons of fiberglass. It's believed that pyramids amplify and focus energy to promote health, growth, and longevity. Now, Russian scientists have actually measured energy fields produced by the pyramid, and Russian Air Force radar has picked up an energy field in the vicinity of the pyramid up to a mile high. So it is possible. Ancient Greece thought that pyramids focus cosmic energy, so this could explain the placement of the pyramids. In Central America, the Maya created more pyramids than any other culture combined. 80 pyramids in Tikal. Each pyramid has a temple on top for rituals or transformations. And many ancient cultures believe that if you entered the temple to communicate with the gods, you emerge transformed. And keep in mind, the sun, the moon, the stars, the planets, any astronomical object or event was seen as the gods or response to the gods. Many belief systems, the pyramid's function is to connect that which is above to that which is below. Now, ancient astronaut theorists believe that the Great Pyramid of Giza could generate enough power to not just reach across the world, but reach across the universe. And this is where my interest in the pyramids becomes really intense, because how would it work? That's what I want to know. How does it work? That's my natural human curiosity. Now, in 1977 and 1987, a guy by the name of Joe Parr conducted experiments on top of the Great Pyramid. It was allegedly discovered that the pyramid had an energy field surrounding it with electromagnetic and radiological properties. In the lab, Parr allegedly developed a way to test pyramid energy by placing a model pyramid on the centrifuge and spinning the model at high speeds. An energy field allegedly formed, generated by the pyramid. Supposedly, this field would allow the pyramid to travel through interdimensional space. So here's my question. Can all pyramids generate this massive energy field? And if you are able to spin them fast enough, would they launch into space? I mean, it's a fascinating concept. Here is what is really fascinating. No blueprints, instructions, or records detailing how the pyramids were designed and constructed have ever been found. Why? If this is humankind's greatest achievement, why didn't we document it? I don't know. Engineers at Giza use a robot equipped with a camera to explore the air shaft coming off the Queen's chamber, and they encountered a closed door with metal they're assuming to be copper handles, and this shaft is only in the Great Pyramid. In 2011, engineers sent another robot equipped with an endoscopic or a snake camera through the shaft to the door. The endoscopic camera was small enough to be ran through a small opening near the door and see the other side. These engineers discovered a secret room. The metal handles on the opposite side of the door were corroded, and copper will corrode. It'll turn green over time when mixed with the oils in the skin. And there were markings on the floor that some people say they resembled electrical symbols. Now, the theory is the ancient Egyptians pumped water from the river Nile into a subterranean chamber beneath the Great Pyramid, and this would result in intense hydraulic pressure, causing the pyramid to vibrate. Now, this water is validated by signs of water erosion in the chamber, and the ceiling of the chamber is chipped. Now, there are traces of zinc in the north shaft of the Queen's Tower and hydrochloric acid in the south shaft of the Queen's Chamber. Zinc was poured through the north shaft, while the hydrochloric acid was poured through the south shaft, mixing in the Queen's Chamber. This mixture resulted in hydrogen gas. The gas rose from the Queen's Chamber to the King's Chamber, and when the gas was ignited along with the hydraulic vibrations, this massive energy beam was the result. Now, if you mix hydrated zinc and hydrochloric acid together, hydrogen gas does result, and it is flammable. So that's pretty wild. How would they know to do that is the question. Another interesting thing is the walls of the pyramids have a high concentration of quartz crystal. Now, quartz is what they call piezoelectric, meaning it can be used in a circuit. And we'll get more into this in a later episode about crystal healing and the crystal skulls. So, could the pyramids be ancient power plants? Is the question. If they can generate this energy, was that their purpose? So, I came across an interesting story about Alaska's underground Black Pyramid. And apparently what happened is a U.S. Army counterintelligence officer was stationed at Fort Richardson, Alaska in 1994, and he saw this documentary about the Chinese underground nuclear test in 1992 and how seismologists had been able to pinpoint a huge pyramid underground about 60 miles west of Mount Denali. The soldier was so fascinated because he said this just shut the whole room down. Everybody was focused on this TV screen. He said he was so amazed by the documentary, he called the TV station about getting a tape of the broadcast, and the reception said, "Yeah, come on down." When he arrived at the station the next day, the station manager told him no such broadcast took place. It never happened. I'm sorry, I don't know what you watched, but it wasn't us. As he was leaving, I guess a station engineer stopped him and said, "Yeah, we did broadcast it, but that's all I can help you with." And the engineer wouldn't elaborate any further. Other sources state that the pyramid is in fact 750 feet below ground, and there is a study group from the government at the pyramid. Shock. Gee. No wonder he couldn't get a copy of the tape. He didn't have security clearance. Huh. Go figure. Your tax dollars at work, my friends. But the pyramid's corners are allegedly oriented northeast, southeast, northwest, and southwest. And all pyramids are oriented to true cosmic and geographic north, not magnetic north. Pyramids have been found underwater off the coast of Portugal and Alaska. Now, the shape of the pyramid, according to some, makes it the perfect structure for energy amplification, which they have seen in this man-made pyramid in Russia. Now, they say under the Pyramid of the Sun in Bosnia, there's flowing water, deposits of iron and quartz, and scientists have detected an energy field around the pyramid and an energy beam from the top. So, what causes that? So, now the question, going back to the Dark Pyramid in Alaska, where does it get its name from? And that's because of the dark stone it was constructed of. How did they locate it? They tracked the electromagnetic interference, they say. Now, here's another question that we can't get an answer to. Most, if not all, of the pyramids were built in alignment with the constellations. Why? They say the pyramids of Giza were built sometime between 2589 and 2504 BC. So in that 85-year time span, all of these pyramids were constructed. Pyramid texts, which date between 2400 BC and 2300 BC, are some of the oldest religious texts known to men. In another question that's asked, why is the pyramid as old as the Sphinx? We'll cover the Sphinx in a later episode. We go back, the pyramids were aligned with the stars in Orion's belt in 12,500 BC. Why? Let's ask another question. The Bosnian pyramid was discovered in 2005. Some say it's man-made, but some say it's not. And science can't confirm or deny this. Why? Another location where we have pyramids is Machu Picchu. And that pyramid is estimated to have been built in 1450, but it was abandoned in 1572, and the Spanish never located Machu Picchu. Apparently, they got lost in the jungle and just gave up. The Incas mastered the art of what's called ashlar. Blocks of stones are cut to fit perfectly and tightly together without mortar. Now, the Incas never used the wheel in a practical application during the construction of the pyramid. So how did they move the blocks? These are big fucking rocks, man. I watched my dad about having a stroke moving a 400-pound rock with 3 other people. It's crazy. So now let's take a trip to the land down under. And we have the Gympie Pyramid in Australia, which is alleged to have been created by the Europeans in the late 19th century, early 20th century. However, there's no record of this. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Discovered in 1975, it's alleged to have been built by the Egyptians, who allegedly had mining operations in Australia. Still others claim the pyramid was built by the Incans, and even more claim it was built by the Chinese. The pyramid faced destruction to clear the way for a new roadway, so I don't have a lot of information on it. If we go back to the Pyramid of the Sun and the Pyramid of the Moon at Teotihuacan, these mysterious early history, many believe it was built by the Toltec. Origins of the founders are unknown, and Toltec just basically means craftsmen of the highest level. Teotihuacan is located 25 miles northwest of Mexico City, and it's believed to have been constructed about 1,000 years before the arrival of the Aztecs. They believe it was constructed around 100 BC. They said there are no chambers within this pyramid. However, a tunnel under the pyramid has been discovered. Research discovered thousands of ritual objects at the feet of what may be a royal tomb. It was located in 2003, and they entered the entrance of the entered it in 2010. The entrance was 40 feet below ground, and several hidden chambers have been found. Now, the most common theory about pyramids is alien involvement because, again, there are no records of the construction. So let's look at some of the signs of the advanced technology. You've got precision, laser cut stone with angles only modern machinery could achieve. There's the Baghdad battery, and we'll cover it in a later episode. Laser cut crystal bowls, holes bored with precise right angles, stones that fit together tightly and perfectly without mortar. If humankind did not have the knowledge or the tools to build these structures, how did they do it? Well, going back to, I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was fucking aliens. So we look at the Sumerian Anunnaki connection, and the Sumerian are the most ancient civilization. They're the oldest one. And the Sumerians documented extensively about their sky gods, which were the Anunnaki, and also the Akkadians, the Assyrians, the Babylonians also worship these Anunnaki sky gods as well. So is it possible, just for the sake of argument, to say the Anunnaki, using their genetically modified humans, our ancestors, to construct the pyramids at their settlements to mark a location as a landmark for return or to circumnavigate the globe? Like I said, I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was probably fucking aliens. The third possibility, the pyramids are the remains of an ancient, advanced, intelligent technology. And this race, technologically advanced. They came before us. They may have been human, they may not have been. We can go back to the giants, the race of giants that they say roamed the earth, because these enormous skeletal remains have been found. So, how do we know it wasn't them? There are, there are no records. Why? If you build a house, you have blueprints. We have records dating back to the construction. They know how the Vatican was constructed. They know how the Colosseum was constructed. They know how the Parthenon was constructed. They left records. They left, documentation. But you get to these pyramids and there's no documentation. Why is my question. This is the burning question. Why was there no documentation? Why did they not leave instructions? This is supposed to be mankind's greatest achievement. And there's no documentation. Why? Now I know I'm scattered and all over the map here. I have no semblance of order, and I apologize for that. I just got so excited with some of this. So here's a fun one. Now, allegedly, pyramids have been found in the Cydonia region of Mars. Photographs from Viking 1 and 2 show a face on Mars. Now, experts say it's a trick of the light from the different shadows as the Viking probes flew over. Ancient alien theorists state that the south and the east of the face, there appear to be pyramid remains and a potential ancient city. So, is it possible that Mars sustained life long enough for it to evolve into a technologically advanced race to construct these structures? Or is it that human beings wanting to believe that we are not alone in the universe has created this? It's, I go back to our Blue Planet Project episode, and I say Carl Sagan once said, we can't be the only life in the galaxy. It seems like a big waste of space, So, is it possible that we are descended from Martians instead of genetically engineered by another alien race? Who knows? No one's ever been able to prove it. No one has ever come back after death and told us what happens next, So, and that's a totally different thing to get into, and that may be an episode later on as well. So I want to take a step back for a second and go back to when we talked about the big pyramids in Moscow, the big man-made ones. They say that, people go to those for healing. And is it possible that these pyramids are focusing electromagnetic energy and sound energy and the natural waves of the earth, the Schumann resonance, and that's something we'll get into at a later time. Is it possible that these pyramids are basically large, I don't know, focusers is the word you'd use, and they're focusing this energy that, heals us as well. And there is some information here that I have that the pyramids may have been used as sonic resonance chambers for healing. Now, we know that you can use sound to heal. A lot of people will ground, and that's where they walk barefoot to get the healing energy from the earth. So it says the pyramids may have been used as sonic resonance chambers for healing. Sonic experiments performed in the King's Chambers shows that the King's Chambers has a range of acoustic resonance frequencies that correspond with perfect music notes. The coffer inside the King's Chamber has a perfect resonance frequency of 440 hertz. And if you remember our Mysteries of Our World episode, 440 hertz is the magic healing frequency. And this is the ground note A, the frequency of a tuning fork, and what is known as the healing frequency. The resonance of the King's Chambers resonates with the resonance of human DNA. So were the pyramids built for healing and not as tombs? And if so, how would these ancient cultures have known about DNA and sound healing? Um, there was some information about a burn unit in a hospital in Canada uses pyramids in patient treatments, and they apparently have a large pyramid on the ceiling. And patients reported that after a short time under the pyramid, their pain had diminished, and staff had noted that the burns healed faster. And when smaller pyramids have been built, a lot of electromagnetic energy has been noted. They say that pyramids could have been used in grain storage as well. Grain found in pyramids, estimated to be over thousands of years old, was still usable, while grain stored in modern silos has a limited storage life. So, if these pyramids are focusing the Earth's energies and can preserve grain and cause, not cause, I'm sorry, that's not the word I'm looking for, but initiate and increase healing, then there again, how would our ancient ancestors have known about it? They'd have had to have some kind of outside information. Even with current construction technology, it would be impossible to build a pyramid the size of the Giza Pyramid, as modern construction equipment cannot set the stones with the exact same precision. So we will never see another monolith like the pyramids again. Going back to pyramid setting and pyramid orientation, the orientation of the Teotihuacan pyramid structure is slightly northwest of the horizon point of the setting sun on 2 days of the year. That's August 12th and April 29th, which are about one divinatory calendar year apart. For the Teotihuacans, August 12th is significant because it marked the date of the present era and the initial day of the Maya long count calendar. If you remember back in 2012, that was the calendar that told us when the world was going to end. Many astrological events can be viewed from the location. If we go back to China, the Chinese pyramid of Xianyang matches the constellation of Gemini, including the star Betelgeuse from the neighboring constellation Orion. The pyramid also matches the brightest star in Taurus, Aldebaran. If you take a look back at the sky in 10,500 BC, it shows the constellation Gemini rising on the spring equinox of that date, with the pyramids matching the sky at sunrise. So now we see all of the pyramids around the globe seem to have a similar galactic alignment. There again is the question, why? Could the pyramids be pointing to where the knowledge to build them came from? That is the big question. And as I said, I know we were scattered. It's just I got so excited over the information. My notes were horribly out of order, and I was horribly out of order, and tried to keep as much together as I could. But we see I didn't do that, and I like to think I'm human and I'm allowed that from time to time. You know, so going back to it, our biggest question is, where did the information to build these pyramids come from? Our ancestors obviously, you know, did not have the necessary knowledge, or if they had the necessary knowledge, they didn't have the necessary ability. So, how did this happen? It were the pyramids already here? You know, were they built before? Were they just dropped out of the sky? They said the pyramids of Giza were once covered in a white polished granite, so they shined like diamonds. Now, why would you do that? I mean, would other than for everyone near and far to see your great achievement when the sun hits it, or what did it have another purpose? You know, these are the questions that keep me going. These are the questions that keep me coming back for more, and I hope they're the questions that keep you coming back for more. So until we meet again, my friends, keep your eyes and your mind open, and as always, try to stay out of the darkness.